The 1970s were a transformative decade for cinema, marked by a surge of groundbreaking films. From The Godfather to Taxi Driver, these classics captured the spirit of an era and pushed the boundaries of storytelling. Can you think of any other decade that shaped movie history quite like this? Join us as we explore the defining films of the 70s. Number 10. The Godfather. The Godfather, considered one of the greatest American films, narrated the story of the Corleone family, a powerful mafia clan. The plot centered on Michael Corleone, portrayed by Al Pacino, who returned from war and gradually got drawn into the criminal world. Marlon Brando delivered a memorable performance as Vito Corleone, the family's patriarch, but the film truly belonged to Pacino's portrayal of Michael. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola and based on Mario Puzo's renowned crime novel, the film ran nearly 3 hours. Despite its length, each scene was crafted with such care, filled with visual beauty and deep storytelling, that it could not have been shortened without losing its impact. Number 9. Star Wars. George Lucas transformed the movie industry when he wrote and directed the original Star Wars film. At the time, 20th Century Fox had little confidence in the movie's success. They even traded some of Lucas's salary for the merchandising rights, believing they'd have little value. The studio then attempted to downplay the film upon its release, but when Star Wars hit theaters, it became a massive hit. Audiences were so captivated that they lined up around the block to watch the movie repeatedly. It became a cultural sensation. Lucas revolutionized filmmaking, storytelling, and American culture by using Joseph Campbell's monomyth as a framework and drawing inspiration from Kurosawa and Flash Gordon. Number 8. Taxi Driver. In the movie Taxi Driver, Martin Scorsese chose to stay in New York to explore the impact of the Vietnam War, while other filmmakers were making war movies set in the jungle. The story follows Travis Bickle, a Vietnam veteran struggling with PTSD who becomes a full-time taxi driver due to his insomnia. Taxi Driver touched on many themes popular in 1970s cinema, such as isolation, violence, and rebellion against those in power. The film delved deeper into these issues than most movies of its time. Bernard Herrmann's smooth, jazz-infused musical score gave the film the atmosphere of a dark fairy tale. Robert De Niro delivered one of his best performances as Bickle, bringing a haunting intensity to the role. Number 7. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Milos Forman's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest became a defining film of the 1970s, capturing the era's spirit of rebellion. The movie, adapted from Ken Kesey's novel, told the story of Randall McMurphy, played by Jack Nicholson, a convict who sought an easy escape from his prison sentence by getting transferred to a mental institution, despite being mentally sound. In the institution, McMurphy clashed with Nurse Ratched, portrayed by Louise Fletcher, who symbolized the oppressive authority figures that many people felt stifled by during that time. The film struck a chord with the audience, resonating deeply with those who felt disillusioned with the establishment. As a result, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest became one of the most successful and influential films of the decade. Number 6. Jaws. Steven Spielberg's Jaws became the reason summer blockbusters dominated theaters. He took a straightforward idea, a 25-foot great white shark terrorizing a beach town, and infused it with suspense-building techniques reminiscent of Alfred Hitchcock, turning it into a cinematic masterpiece. The film also had subtle anti-government themes, with the mayor prioritizing tourist dollars over public safety. The brilliance of Jaws lay not in the shark's terror, but in the story of 3 very different men who were forced to work together. The film was entirely driven by characters, which set it apart from its many imitators that focused only on the shark itself. Jaws was much more than a thriller. It was a story about human dynamics and cooperation, wrapped in the tension of a relentless predator. Number 5. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. In 1975, Monty Python and the Holy Grail continued to make audiences laugh with its hilarious absurdity. Set in the Middle Ages, the film followed King Arthur and his knights on their quest to find the Holy Grail. Along the way, they encountered a series of bizarre and outlandish challenges. The film, written and directed by Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones, featured a star-studded cast including John Cleese, Grant Chapman, Michael Palin, and Eric Idle, all of whom were already well known for their comedic talents. This movie was the second installment in the Monty Python series, inspired by the British sketch comedy show that aired on BBC in 1969 and starred the same acting troupe. Despite the rise of new comedic writing in films in the 21st century, Monty Python and the Holy Grail maintained its place on the IMDb Top 250 list, showcasing its enduring appeal. Number 4. Chinatown. In 1974, Roman Polanski brought the classic look and story style of 1940s film noirs into the 1970s with Chinatown. Instead of focusing on the fears and paranoia of the 1940s, Polanski adapted the film to reflect the anxieties of the 1970s. Jack Nicholson's portrayal of private detective Jake Gitz was both compelling and unforgettable. The film presented a world where there were no clear heroes or villains, and it did not offer a happy ending. The screenplay by Robert Towne became a key example in screenwriting classes, celebrated for its near-perfect structure and storytelling. Chinatown left a lasting impact as a dark and gripping journey, showcasing a shift in how film noir could be interpreted and experienced. Number 3. Alien. In 1979, Alien delivered one of the most intense horror scenes in film history. The story began when the crew of a commercial starship, after receiving a mysterious distress call, woke up from their cryogenic sleep to investigate. They soon found themselves under attack by a terrifying alien creature that had attached itself to one of the crew members. This sci-fi horror film, directed by Ridley Scott, made a huge impact and introduced audiences to Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, one of the most iconic final girls in cinema. Despite only receiving 2 technical award nominations from the Academy, Alien remained a top-notch sci-fi movie. This 1970s classic not only captivated audiences, but also sparked a successful franchise, paving the way for the Predator movie series. Number 2. Apocalypse Now. Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now took audiences deep into the darkness of war and madness. Set during the Vietnam War, the film followed Captain Willard, played by Martin Sheen, who was sent on a dangerous mission to assassinate Colonel Kurtz, portrayed by Marlon Brando. Kurtz was a promising officer who had reportedly lost his sanity. As Willard traveled upriver to find Kurtz, he himself began to unravel mentally. In the 1970s, when films about Vietnam were highly influential, Coppola's movie stood out for its original and meaningful storytelling. The film featured strong performances not only from Sheen and Brando, but also from notable actors like Harrison Ford, Robert Duvall, Dennis Hopper, and Lawrence Fishburne. Apocalypse Now earned critical acclaim, winning the Academy Awards for Best Cinematography and Best Sound out of 8 nominations. Number 1. All the President's Men. In 1976, All the President's Men emerged as a standout among the most paranoid political thrillers that followed the Watergate scandal. The scandal had led to Richard Nixon's resignation, which made Americans question the trustworthiness of their government. During this period, several notable films were released, including The Parallax View, 3 Days of the Condor, and The Conversation. Yet, many consider All the President's Men to be the best of the bunch. The film recounted the Watergate scandal from the perspective of reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, as they revealed the secrets of Nixon's administration. Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford gave compelling performances in the leading roles, capturing the intensity of their investigative journey. The screenplay, written by William Goldman, was exceptionally well crafted, adding depth and tension to the story. The film became a classic for its gripping portrayal of real-life events and its brilliant storytelling. As we've seen, these classic 70s movies not only defined a generation, but also left an indelible mark on cinema. Which of these iconic films is your favorite, and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please like, share, and subscribe for more nostalgic content.